All right. So, Full Force Radio pre-Canada Day. Hey, Bloom Rock. Hello. It was too cold. Fair enough. I keep forgetting. For those of you who are, not in Canada, again, I'm rocking the something about Mary Bangs. We should try and just get them to stand straight up. I'm sure there are many volunteers who would help me get them to style that way. But so, yeah, I always forget. I'm in North America. I'm on the West Coast. It's beautiful. It's sunny. The weather is hot, 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 hot. It's summer here. But then some of you guys are in the upside down, like Gabe. It's winter. Mariano, Bolivia. Clay found his way down to Argentina. You guys are all cold and sad. Sorry about it. I got hot metal to warm you up. So, yeah, Full Force Radio tonight is a pre-Canada Day warm-up party. All of the hosers are going to have some fun this weekend. Tomorrow is officially Canada Day. I would love to say that there is some sort of special identity or cultural thing that Canadians do on Canada Day, but we drink. I mean, culturally, I guess we could claim drinking is ours. It might not be, but we drink. And we party, and that's about it. We don't really have a very Canadian thing. Canada is a melting pot. We love to use that term, melting pot. We have people from all cultures here, and there is no truly Canadian culture other than we make good maple syrup, we really like bacon, we drink a lot of beer, we play a lot of hockey, and we say sorry really often. That's Canada in a nutshell from coast to coast by. So, people always get freaked out by that, but the reality is Canada is fucking big. We've talked about this on the show before. It always kind of blows my mind. If you try and pick up almost any landmass and you get out there and you show off Canada compared to pretty much any other country, we are big. We are huge. We do drink a lot. That's true. Bloomrock's like, yes, I agree. Thank you for backing me up. I mean, alcoholism is something that we really got it on lock up here. But yeah, no, truth be told, it is a very diverse country. From coast to coast, if you're going to get from one side to the other, you are going to pass through a lot of very different types of landscapes and a lot of different types of people. And, in most cases, countries are quite small and there's a lot of people crammed in a small space. Not so with Canada. We are everywhere and also nowhere. We're stuck along the US border. We are spread out like crazy. And, many large US states or even cities have more people than all of my entire country. So when people are like, I can't believe you guys don't have a specific cultural blah, blah, blah. I mean, we like poutine and we like beer. And I'm okay with that. That's enough. So yeah. Most popular beverages in Canada, Mariano's pulled up. And I'll take a look at this list and I will give you an idea. The Toronto cocktail. I've never had one. So there you go. The Raymond Massey. I've also never had one of those. The Mahogany. Nope. Never heard of it. Yukon Jack. Oh, that's honey whiskey. I have had that. Caribou comes from Quebec, so nope. But that sounds really Canadian. So apparently Caribou is an alcoholic drink coming from Quebec that combines red wine, maple syrup, and grain spirits. Sure, that sounds about right. But the Caesar. Now, the Caesar is very, very, it's very divisive. Now, you guys tell me, because I can see a lot of people from all around the world are kind of kicking it right now. Have you ever had something like a Bloody Mary? Does your country, does your culture, or where are you from, do you have a drink that is tomato-based? First of all, sorry, ew. Whose idea was that? Take a tomato and be like, ooh, this isn't awesome. I guess if we put some alcohol in it, then it will be delicious. Bloody Mary is a thing in the States. They're pathetic. In Canada, we have something called the Caesar. Bloody Mary is just somebody splatted a tomato and then sort of weakly puffed a little bit of alcohol in its direction. It's lame. In Canada, we have the 𝖒𝖊𝖆. And the 𝖒𝖊𝖆 is much better. It is full of spices and celery salt. They're spicy as fuck. They have clamato juice in them because you know what? If tomatoes weren't nasty enough in your alcohol, god damn it, throw some clams in there as well. And I'll tell you what, a super spicy like whiskey or tequila based 𝖒𝖊𝖆, it will fuck you up. They'll have beans coming out of it, pickled garlic. Oh, hell yes. That is it. Are there any maple syrup liqueurs? Tons. Like everybody rocks the maple syrup liqueur. Every distillery tries to make one. You know, everybody's got a version of that because that's really Canadian, right? When you guys think about Canada, good maple syrup is amazing. And 𝖍𝖎𝖏 is right. You know, during Carnival or, you know, basically in winter even, the bloody 𝖒𝖊𝖆, it's not even that it's a Canadian brand per se. It's a 𝖒𝖊𝖆 is a Canadian cocktail. It actually was like here, it was like Canada, Calgary. It was in Calgary, I'm pretty sure. And it's gross. It's like vodka and tomato juice and celery and lime and Worcester sauce. All of that. Yeah, it's absolutely fucking delicious. A++, would drink again. 1000%. But yeah, so it's not a brand. It's just a type of drink. But clammy, I think, is pretty Canadian too, clamato. Also, another thing that I learned here when I started playing ball with a bunch of Canadian drunks, because that was a large part of my sort of adolescent and teenage and even young adult years, I played baseball. I don't know about you guys. I know it's the American pastime, but in the summers in Canada, everybody plays in a beer league. Everybody plays slow pitch. Everybody is getting rocked off their faces. They're smoking joints. They're drinking more beer than is humanly possible in the heat of the summer. And then they run around and swing sticks at each other. It's A++, very, very safe. But the thing that I learned playing ball in Canada is that here, many people like to put clamato in their beer. It's so common. And when I asked why, people were like, well, then it's just like breakfast. And I'm like, I don't know. And yes, that definitely does sound even more alcoholic. If you need an excuse to try and convince people that your beer is a vegetable so you can have it earlier in the day, calm down, Canada. Calm down. I don't know. I don't know, man. But Canadian whiskey, very, very, very popular. There's lots. Most people know Canadian Club. People know things like, I don't know, like fucking Crown Royal or whatever else you may drink. But there are so many brands. Barefoot out, like, yeah. Canadian whiskey is definitely awesome. And the B52, apparently, in Mariano's list, the B52 apparently is a Canadian drink. I don't know if you've ever had one of these. I think they're heinous, but I do love the B52s. So there's that. I'm pretty sure if it came out of Calgary, it was named after a plane or something, but who cares? Have you had any of these drinks? Do any of these drinks make it from beyond Canada's borders to you? I have questions. I want to know. Tell me. Have you ever gotten drunk on the true Canadian spirit or something? I don't know. But while we're talking about that, I have so many things to play and so much stuff that I want to play for you guys. So speaking of a bunch of stuff over in Quebec, maybe, just maybe, no, not yet. Yeah, exactly. Like everybody's just B52ing, you know, drop on the floor and do the rock lobster. Amazing. If you do, we'll fill you with beer because that's how we fix it. Worcestershire. Worcester. Fuck. Forget it. So, yeah. Okay. Mariano's looking up food now, too. There are absolutely some pretty Canadian things. There are two on that list, and then I swear to God, we'll listen to some more music. But there's two in that picture that you're showing right now. Poutine, obviously from the East Coast. Many of these guys here, obviously 𝖊𝖆𝖆 and 𝖍𝖎𝖆𝖏, no. But yeah, poutine, very, very East Coast. But there's a weird little thing on there called a Nanaimo bar. It's the first thing in the picture that Mariano is sharing. I want you to know that ever in your life, if you have the opportunity to try a Nanaimo bar, try a fucking Nanaimo bar. They are amazing. I have no idea what's in them. They're like chocolate, and like a thick sort of soft chocolate, and then a custard jizz kind of layer that's pretty tasty, and then like a chocolate coconut, I don't know what on the bottom. You know what? I don't even know what's in a Nanaimo bar. You just put it in your mouth and you bite it and it goes, because, you know, as you do. It is soft and creamy and delicious, and just eat a Nanaimo bar, you know? That's it. That's the only notification that I have for you. They are incredible. Eat a Nanaimo bar. I'll look it up. I should probably actually know what's in a Nanaimo bar. But Nanaimo is a place on Vancouver Island. It is beautiful. It is one of the most stunning little places. So it's here in British Columbia. But yeah, it's on the east coast of Vancouver Island. It's super, super gorgeous. But nobody cares about that. What you need to know about is the Nanaimo bar. And people, apparently you can find them in the U.S. now in Costco. And apparently U.S. people started calling them prayer bars. What the fuck's that all about? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Terrible. Yeah, coconut and graham crackers, custard, silky chocolate. I want a Nanaimo bar now. You will eat the 𝖍𝖊𝖆 and you will be happy. I agree. All right. So in the interest of actually attracting some of the metalheads in tonight, I'm going to keep playing you guys some more music, and we'll have some fun. So, I mean, I don't know if I can lure you guys into chat. I don't have the gift. I don't know. The perfect Canadian meal: beer with poutine and a Nanaimo bar for dessert. Makes sense for me. You missed something from the prairies. You know, the prairies have lots of stuff, but a lot of it is Eastern European influenced, right? Because Canada's prairies were roundly and soundly populated by basically Eastern European immigrants. My family is from Ukraine. And my family, my great-grandma and my great-grandpa, so both sides of their family, they were Ukrainian immigrants. They fled the Holodomor. They came to Canada. They settled in the prairies. My grandma and grandpa were born here. Big ass immigrant Ukrainian families. A lot of the stuff that you will see across sort of the middle of the country is, you know, bread and pierogies, metalhead, cabbage rolls, and all of that stuff with like sort of Canadian twists on it. The prairies very much so have a lot of Eastern European culture. And the coasts, have a lot of, if you're on the East Coast, a lot of sort of French settler culture, but also a lot of Middle Eastern people come in through the East Coast. So you'll get a lot of like Middle Eastern food. And then here on the West Coast, we get the opposite side. We get people coming in from Asia. And so the West Coast is full of awesome Asian fusion cuisine. Oh! You've not lived until you've had fresh fish in Vancouver. Holy fucking shit. Sushi? You can't get better sushi. You will literally sit down and like watch a dude go out front and fucking scoop your fish out of the river or whatever. It's wild. Kielbasa on the street. Also kielbasa in the sheets. Oh, if my grandma was alive, she would probably love that. It's a crazy story for sure. I've had, the luck to kind of, while my grandparents were alive, kind of hear their many tales about sort of what it was like growing up dirt poor in the prairies in Canada. And I love being from here. So fuck it. Let's celebrate that with heavy metal. Yeah? Yeah, let's do it. And then, maybe I can lure you guys into chatting with me a little bit more. I have some funny stories that are not Canada related. So I'm kind of bandying about whether or not I'm going to share some of these stories with you because they are heavy metal. They're worth a chat. People here hanging out will have a lot of fun. But there is something that just hit the shelves again here. And I'll be curious to know if you guys ever heard of it or if you even gave a shit about it. But it was very, very popular in the 90s, and it's making a comeback. And it starts here. And people are so excited. It's the weirdest fucking thing. So I'll tell you after the next track. So I was thinking about all the stuff that I want to play for you guys. Now, here's the deal. When we talk about the history of heavy metal in Canada, one thing that Canada did and does so well is thrash metal. Now, we know when we talk about heavy metal on this show all the time, we talk about all of the Clearly Canadian. Oh, Clearly Canadian's delicious. Have you had some? No, but yes, Clearly Canadian. Yum. When we talk about the history of heavy metal, we often talk about sort of the new wave of British heavy metal being sort of one of these really pivotal moments for people, right? You know, there were bands that were coming across the... Hi, Marco! You know, there were bands that were coming across the ditch, and we had people in Europe who were like, that sounds lame, let's go harder. And there were people who were like, that's too tame, let's push the envelope. And then here in North America, you had young bands who were like, yes, but faster. Yes, but dirtier. Yes, but more. And thrash started being born. And you had bands that were kind of combining these things. They were combining the influences of the bands they loved. They were listening to Iron Maiden and then cranking it up a little bit faster and a little bit harder. And they were getting influences from bands that were forming, you know, in the States, and this underground tape trading all over North America that started happening. So Canada's influence on heavy metal really was this incredible sort of era of thrash. And the even more incredible thing is most of these bands are still going. They're still kicking it. It's awesome. So I'm really stoked to be able to share this stuff with you guys tonight. Now, with that being said, I'm trying to decide where we're going to go with this. And I was thinking, I'm going to play a track by a band called 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖘. And the reason that I want to play something from this band is because, A, fucking amazing. But this band is speed metal from the east coast of Canada, and they were literally formed in 1978. Now stop and think about that for a second. 1978, and we know that was the time where a lot of progressive and sort of whatever rock and roll was on the rise. Cool stuff was happening, but that's a pretty early time for Canadians to kind of jump in the ring. And so, you know, this was a band that was listening to Motorhead and that was listening to Sabbath and Deep Purple and all of those bands that we always talk about on this show as being the quintessential sort of rumblings and beginnings of that next wave of heavy metal. So 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖘 has been around a long time, and their debut album came out in 1983, which was 2 years before I was born. So stop and think about that for a second. 2 years before I was born. And they are still touring. And in fact, they are touring. There is some Annihilator on the playlist tonight, Mariano. Well done. They are still touring. They are literally touring right now at this second. And one of the coolest things, there's still two members who are still the original members. So the drummer is the vocalist, and he's been around since day one, and the bassist has been around since day one. But what's really cool is they've actually got an awesome young guy in the band as well. And I've talked about him on this show before. And if you're interested in somebody who has killer, you know, fun times on Twitch, playing his guitar, hanging out in the community, telling kick-ass stories from the road, his name is 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖘, and you can find him on Twitch. I don't know what else he's doing, but he's literally touring with 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖘 right now. He's doing the, you know, the festival circuit and everything that's going on. He just lost his guitars in the Toronto airport and was on the news. I saw him on the news because his guitars went missing. That's how Canadian we are here. So I thought, yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to play you something from like the year I was born. Because that's killer. They have an album called Long Live the Loud. It was released in 1985. And I'm going to play you a track called I Am the Beast. It is classic thrash-tinged, slightly power metal. It is epically Canadian, and it opened the door for an era of awesome thrash bands and heavier metal to just come on out of the frozen north up here. My name is 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖘. This is Full Force Radio. we're just chatting. Feel free to hop in. You can hang out. You can say stuff if you want. You can stay lurking if you don't want. I see a lot of people are starting to jump in across the other streams. Every Thursday night, Friday morning, I'm here. I'm playing you great loud music, trying to give you a little bit of the history, the feedback, or whatever. But most of the time, you make fun of me. I end up in distress. We listen to some loud-ass tracks. We have a lot of fun. That's the goal. Everything else is just something in between, right? My name is 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝖞, and this is Fullforce Radio. It is a Canada Day warm-up tradition. I am fairly certain that at least some point during this show, I'm going to go get me a fuzzy peach gummy because it's the Canadian way. We love our beer. We love our weed. We like being pleasantly toasted. And I need to pregame tomorrow. It's going to be a party weekend. Let's do this because I am the beast. The fake echo especially is just A++ would thrash again. Hey team! My name is 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝖞. This is Fullforce Radio. It is a pre-Canada Day party warm-up. We've been, I don't even know, like, look at these pictures. Oh my God. Delightful. Exciter, man. They basically were listening to bands like Maiden, and we're like, but what if we did that, but like more spikes, more evil, more. Turn that shit up to 11. And that's exactly what they did. And I have to say, there is something so fucking awesome and charming. Yeah, exactly. More, faster, more, better. More, eh? Just more. So, listen, if you're just joining us, that was Exciter. And what I was mentioning to you guys is that I think it's so freaking cool that, 30-something years, because I can't do math. Oh my God, more than 30 years. Okay, let's do it. 1978 plus 2 years would be 1980 plus 20 years would be 22 years, would get us to 2000. It is now 22. That's another 22 years. 22 plus 22. We're going on 45 years of metal. That's insane. These guys are still fucking touring. They're still tearing the absolute roof off shit. I mean, I don't know if that's because they're Canadians and they know how to party, but I'm going to say maybe, baby. But it is really freaking charming to me. Patient Zero, what is happening there? It kind of looks like me. It kind of doesn't look like me. I think you added my face onto a 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖐 generation, but I mean, it's happening. It's getting a little better every time. Terrifying a little bit. So my guess is that I'm going to struggle to get more people in here, but I'm going to try. Is metal the only music that tries to infiltrate all the genres? No, absolutely not. Arguably, every genre imitates every other genre. But, I mean, metal is one of those places that it's safe to go and explore. You can be angry, or you can be happy, or you can be sad. You could be whatever you want, as long as you are that with all of your heart and soul. And I think that's cool. I think metal is pretty open to embracing a lot of other musical genres. And I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But then again, you get some bands who just always sound the same from start to finish. And some people really like that. Do what you want. Metal the way you want. Live free or die. And I also will say, let's just flip back here for a second. Like, I don't have the full screen pulled up. Play Metal Polka. I could, but there isn't much from Canada. I mean, I probably could, and I have on this show. And maybe for the 5 years of Force, maybe it will be like a full request, whatever. Is that your secret? Is that Ron's secret to getting people chatting? Is if he plays enough polka, everybody like panics and starts talking just so he won't play more? I know a lot of people do love your show and they love to come talk, and I apparently just don't bring that out in people. So someday I'll learn how to make everybody here happy. That day will not be today. But like, look at last week, if you kind of checked out the album descriptions, we were talking a little bit about how I really wish that metal art and cover art got back, hey kitty girl, that got back to this phase where every fucking album cover had a delightfully naked woman, you know, straddling something dangerous, riding off into the sunset. This album cover is amazing. You got your barbarian dude wielding his sword, the slave woman who is overcome by his, I don't know what, manliness? It doesn't matter. Look at his medal. She's looking at his medal. You know, heads on sticks in the background. All of it. Checks all the boxes. This is what we should be doing all the time. I'm not saying that every shirt should have swords on it and every album cover should have all this, but yeah, maybe. I'm a red dragon. That totally checks out. Her footsteps in the crack of doom, her will to survive. Dude, that's killer. I love it. Fantastic. All right, so before the break, I was telling you guys that speaking of Canadian food and drinks and all that nonsense, and asking you guys if you'd ever have a Caesar or a Nanaimo bar, I was mentioning that there's a thing here that it made a comeback all of a sudden. It started showing up on shelves and everybody started losing their mind. And I don't know if this is just Canada or not, and it's not my particular cup of tea. When I do have something to drink, I usually am in the Coca-Cola factory. And yes, this is Coke Zero. So judge me all you want. Every now and again, I need a shot of something to keep me going that isn't water, even though I've gone through like 4 liters of water today, that isn't alcohol, because I can't drink alcohol in 35-degree heat for 3 hours solid, because you guys we won't make it till the end of the show. So every now and again, yeah, I have to drink the chemicals. Oh my God, I'm going to die. But here's the deal. Crystal Pepsi. Do you guys remember Crystal Pepsi? Did Crystal Pepsi ever make it to where you were? Was this ever a thing for you? Maybe not, but I remember when I was a little kid, Crystal Pepsi was a big deal. People lost their minds over Crystal Pepsi. It was Pepsi, but it was clear. It was the 90s. Everybody was looking for a gimmick. This was a hilarious thing. And so apparently it is back and it's showing up on superstore shelves and people are losing their ever-living minds. This is a big fucking deal. People are so excited that their terrible sugar-filled chemical liquids are now look like water. I don't know. I do remember this part. You guys have never seen it. Okay. All right. So we'll see. Oh, the 90s. We kind of had sanctions in the 90s. Yeah. 90s were a rough period for everyone. It's probably not the worst thing that happened to you, but here's the deal. Crystal Pepsi was part of this whole movement where everything was clear and futuristic. We had a lot of like weird, spacey, sciencey drinks, and everything was kind of like gems and crystals. The 90s were, oh, if you take out the caramel color, it makes it less carcinogenic. Cool. That's a reason to be excited. Now, I don't drink Pepsi, and I'm not particularly excited for this, but I will tell you, I've seen people losing their fucking mind. Why? I don't know. It was only around for like 2 years or so, but it's the 30th anniversary. This drink apparently is just really only happening here in Canada. And it's just because Canada went wild for Crystal Pepsi. Lacey's here. I hope she's ready. Yeah, very Nuka-Cola, except this is more like Nuka-Cola Quantum. So let me bring this up because I feel like this is... Everybody ask Lacey about Nanaimo bars. Ask Lacey about Nanaimo bars. That's what we all need to know. Ask her opinion on how fucking amazing... No, don't. Oh, what? Get out. You're uninvited. Lacey hates Nanaimo bars. The only other Canadian here who's had them, who could talk them up, and she hates them. I quit. I'm out. Forget it. Why do I even do a show? But let me come back to this before we get into the next track, because speaking of weird shit, there was this period in the 90s where we were obsessed with making things crystal clear. Jelly shoes and jelly bracelets and jelly hair elastics, also making a comeback, let me tell you. I'm rocking one right now. There was this period where we just thought, oh my God, hell yeah, let's fucking make everything clear because that's what we can do with science. Boom, throw some glitter in that bitch. And you as a kid were like, yay, jelly shoes. And you begged your parents to buy these for you. And then you put them on and you're like, this is solid plastic. And I have now lacerated my fucking Achilles. Cool. But I look amazing. I just remember that jelly shoes and all of the things from this sort of clear period in the 90s, they were super metal. Imagine that, wandering into school with these clear shoes that very clearly showed everyone the blood just raining down your legs. Amazing time. But there was one other thing that happened that hasn't made a comeback. And I'm wondering, now that Crystal Pepsi has done so, I'm wondering if it will. And it's a drink, I don't know if any of you guys will remember, again, because the name was co-opted by a travel company. But for a while, there was a drink in Canada called Orbits. Did you guys ever try Orbits? This was part of the 90s lava lamp resurgence, the clear Pepsi resurgence. Do you guys remember this drink? Because I don't know. Now, clearly Canadian, this is where Patient Zero brought this up. Patient Zero brought up... Oh, it's the coconut. Okay, Lacey, we can have a real conversation about this because I actually agree with you. The custard must be only custard. The coconut, I actually hate dried coconut. Dried coconut must be in the base layer. If you move it out of the base layer, I will move your soul out of your body. I will 1,000% threaten you over an incorrectly made Nanaimo bar. But here's the deal. I'm going to show this to you guys. Let me pull up my browser here and let's get this shit done. So, pull this up. Absolutely nothing on screen. A++, nailed it. There we go. Orbits is on screen now. Okay, so here's the deal. Clearly Canadian. Let's do that. Let's do clearly Canadian first. Let's do clearly Canadian drink. So Clearly Canadian was a company that legitimately just made drinks that were clear. That was their jam. Any kind of sparkling water, kind of a pop, kind of a soda, whatever you call them in the US, that's what they were. Clear drinks, clear fizzy drinks. And they've always been this way. Classic blue bottle, clear drink. And everybody's like, yay, got it. But then they were trying to appeal to the youth. They wanted the youth of Canada to be excited. So they made a drink called Orbits. Now, you might not remember this drink, but let's just take a look at some of these images. Orbits were clearly Canadian in the exact same bottle, but the bottle wasn't blue. They had weird floating jelly balls in them. Neon-colored jelly balls floating in fucking clear pop. It was weird as shit. I don't remember them even being very good, but everyone was obsessed with them, myself included. So I'm curious to know, because it turns out I think a lot of people have tried to keep these bottles around. They didn't drink them. They held on to them. This is the weirdest shit I've ever seen. And I'm kind of curious because I forget sometimes that this was a very Canadian phenomenon. It really was. Canadian graffiti at its finest. Your mom is a nice lady. So accurate. Oh my God. You know, Canadians, I love living here. What can I say? I'm a proud Canadian. I am. And that is a very sort of valid way of looking at Canadians, is they do often get in fights and they're often jerks. But honestly, what'll usually happen is somebody will call somebody else a goof. There'll be a light Donnybrook, some blows will be exchanged, some hands will be shaken, and everybody will wander down to the pub for a beer. That's how Canadians settle their differences. I just wanted to bring up this Orbits thing because since we're talking about Canadian food and drinks, and we're talking about a weird period in the 90s where we were obsessed with making everything clear, here you go. Orbits. I want to know, because Gabe was bringing up that somebody was finding these old bottles and drinking them live, and somebody actually ended up, everybody was obsessed by Orbits. 𝖊𝖕𝖆 remembers. Hell yeah. But I'm curious to know, did it ever make it out of Canada? Wherever you are, did you ever see Orbits? Because these things were nasty. The balls didn't have any flavor, and they'd get stuck in your teeth, and you'd try and strain them out. And if you drank too fast, you just have a little pile of fucking snot balls at the bottom of your... anyways, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I imagine that somebody somewhere on YouTube is finding a bottle of Orbits, unboxing it, and drinking it right now, and probably projectile vomiting. Lacey, what are you doing tomorrow for Canada Day? Text me later. What we're doing tonight here on Full Force Radio, believe it or not, this is a metal show. I swear to God. We actually play heavy metal. We've already started out with the Agonist, and we played some Exciter. We are all sorts of thrash tonight, and we're having a good time. So I'm going to play you a bunch of Canadian bands, and some of them are sick, and some of them are really heavy, and some of them are amazing and mind-expanding, and all of them are very fun. So with that, did we ever tag Full Force Radio in the chat? Ron, can you make an announcement if the bot didn't? Because I just realized I had people who said that they rely on that. I might have to make my own bot. Fuck yeah, Nickelback. Yes, exactly. Good old Nickelback. No, I mean, I might end up having to make my own bot. Not because your bot's not good enough, but I should be doing that in my own Discord, which, it is. Maybe too much cocaine in the 90s. Possibly. I don't know. So here's the deal. I want to play you guys some amazing... You are one of the tag reliant. Yes, you are, girl. You hate it when balls get shit stuck in your teeth. It's hard things. Hard things across the board. So here's the deal. I have so many wonderful things to show you. I'm not Pinhead. I'm Orbits head for the rest of the night. Just imagine instead of pins coming out of my face, I have little Orbits balls stuck over my face. I have so many things to show you. So let's do it. I am going to play you, since we are in an up-tempo mood. You can't, follow Exciter with something down-tempo. The band on my shirt, _Striker. Good old Canadian thrash metal boys out of Alberta, the next province over. They're kind of like, they're the countryest of the provinces, and they're a good time. Lots of great metal coming out of Calgary. So I'm going to play you a band called _Striker. They do a lot of 80s hair metal inspired, really heavy, really loud, really fun. I've been to a couple of _Striker concerts because they come through town fairly often. It's not too hard for them to pack their ass in the van. See, Jason's here. Jason, tonight is a thrash night. You might have some fun. I also have some ridiculous topics. Jason, I want to know, for everybody who's just wandering in now, Jason, did you ever try a Nanaimo bar? Have you ever had a Caesar? What about, did you ever drink an Orbits? I need to know. Most Canadian picture ever. Someone caught a puck with his poutine. So I will tell you a Canadian story, a Canadian hockey story. It's mildly entertaining. My grandpa, the one that recently just passed, my grandpa B. You also hate Caesars? Lacey, we're going to have some fucking problems. Jesus Christ. My grandma, my grandpa, her husband, loved the Vancouver Canucks. Bless his soul, poor man. But part of it was because for a long time he was good friends with a lot of the NHL players on the team in that era. And a couple of the brothers of them showed up to his funeral, which was really cool. But so he loved the Canucks. He was obsessed with the Canucks. And when he was quite a bit younger, like when my dad was still a boy, he and my grandmother would go to the hockey games all the time. He always would take her and some of the kids to the game. And one game, they were in the lower bowl, and a puck came flying out of the ice and smoked my grandma in the face. She took it like a champ, as women of that era tended to do, but she had to go to the hospital. And so she made it to the hospital, and she's waiting, and she's trying to get back to the hockey game, and she's, kind of getting a little anxious because she's missing a lot of the hockey game. Grandpa doesn't care. Grandpa's still there. He's not going to the hospital with my grandma. Hell no, he's staying at the hockey game. And then, about an hour later, 2 hours later, like quite a long time, not the full game, but a long time. She's waiting, bleeding out of her face, waiting to be seen. An ambulance pulls screaming up and they're racing everybody in and everybody's, ah! And so she's expecting to see a mutilated corpse on the stretcher. No, they raced in a member of the Canucks who had been also cut on the face. And they immediately escorted him directly past her, past everyone in the waiting room. He was gone for about 15 minutes. They stitched up his face, gave him a ton of drugs, and then turned on all the sirens again, threw him back out, and drove him back to the arena. A player that my grandma was watching play managed to get hit in the face almost an hour later. And hockey was so fucking important that the police escorted the ambulance to the hospital, made sure he got stitched up, and escorted him back to finish the game with the sirens on before anybody even gave my grandma a Band-Aid. She was like, oh, okay. Canada takes hockey seriously, friends. That's all I can say. All right, so as you do, let's do it. Let's play some Striker. I am going to play you a song called Second Attack. This is off a pretty early album. It's good, fast thrash metal. It has an edge of the retro. It is 1,000% inspired by... 1,000% inspired by the new wave of British heavy metal and also everything that was happening in the 80s with speed and thrash metal. It is great stuff, and it is a hoser pre-party here tonight. What should we call it? The Canadian, Canada Day all hoser metal fest. I don't know, man. It's a good time. We're playing Canadian music. We're talking about dumb Canadian stuff. I am hopefully one of your favorite Canadians, and I'm going to play you a lot of heavy metal over the course of it tonight. Yes? Full Force Radio. Yes. Heck yes. Man, oh man, I'm just going to pause that for a second. Stop. Let's just check this out, because we were talking about cool cover art, and this one, I actually had... Yeah, Lacey played goalie for a bit, and then they got you in the actual Canadian national sport. Lacey did lacrosse. I had a lot of girlfriends that played ringette. Yeah, so here's the deal. I never grew up playing ice hockey, and it's not because I wasn't a true Canadian, but... Frankie, I will say, we've had this discussion a lot. Today's not the day or the time or the place. But, especially in the younger adolescent years, boys and girls, not the same skill level, not the same body types. We didn't play mixed teams. But yeah. So as a little kid, I was always out in my cul-de-sac with my guy neighbors. There weren't any other girls on the street, just me and my sister. And we would play, because my parents' house was at the end of a cul-de-sac. So the goal would always be, somebody would run out the net, you'd put it at the end of the cul-de-sac, because that way shots on goal would just go up my driveway and then come back down. You'd never lose your ball. So you're playing ball hockey, street hockey, every fucking day, rain or shine. I played on all sorts of sports teams, but I just ended up gravitating towards fast pitch and towards field hockey. And eventually I got competitive enough in both that I had to end up choosing one. So I ended up going with fast pitch because that was very lucrative for education. So yeah. Canadian Baywatch, very true. Yes. So Darcicle played goalie, Lacey was a goalie, hell yeah. So is Frankie actually listening? I hope so. I'm glad you guys are here. We're having a big ass hoser pre-Canada Day all Canadian metal party here on Full Force Radio. We've been talking about weird Canadian foods and soft drinks and things like that. Just played you some Striker, and I just pulled the screen back up again because the album artwork for this is sick. I don't know if you checked it out, but it's called City of Gold, and it's got the Incan sort of mask with the liquid molten gold coming out and actually like burning the flesh off this supplicant's body. It's awesome. I love stuff like that. The universal call of car works everywhere. Yes. So this is another thing that maybe is Canadian. I can't imagine it's not a US experience either. But when you're playing hockey in the street and inevitably someone wants to drive down the street, some kid will be like, car, And everybody goes, oh, and gets the net and shuffles off. And everybody stands on the side of the street and the car goes through. And then everybody runs back out and starts playing again. That's, a hugely Canadian experience. I have trouble believing that's not a US experience too, but maybe not. I don't know. You tell me. And same with the upside downers and the everywhere elsers. Did you have something like that you used to do? Probably wasn't hockey? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we're just discovering all the Canadian tropes in one go. Ron's asking, if you die in Canada, do you die in real life? I'm honestly not sure. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. You had heads up. Heads up. Is that the one where you're at your desk and you put your thumb up and somebody taps it and then you run around? I don't fucking know. Oh, for oncoming traffic or ball. Heads up. No. Just here is just car. All right. So I just played you a track by Striker, Second Attack. We've been talking about orbits and everything else, and we're already an hour into the show. Fucking ridiculous. Oh, you only die if it's government-assisted suicide. Yeah, fair enough. So tomorrow is Canada Day, and I do love Canada. Don't get me wrong. I love living here, and one of the most magical things about living here is nature for me. I live on the West Coast, Best Coast, and so my experiences are a little different than some other people, but one of the most wonderful things about Canada is there is a little bit of everything, and I've shared lots of pictures with you guys from around the world and, all over the place. But one of the things I actually just shared today, and I only shared a low-res image because people are already asking, yes, Ron is asking, is this a real thing? So this is, let's talk a little bit about this yellow. It's actually starting to be seen across the US, but let's pull this up because Ron's asking if this is a real thing. So in Canada, we have a brand called President's Choice, and it was a brand that started out in the Superstore group. This is a real thing, 1,000%. So the idea was at Superstore that they would just make No Name brand. And the brand, if you look down in the corner, is called No Name. No Name brand. And so these Canadian stores, Superstore and all its subsidiaries, Loblaw Group or whatever it is, they have this brand. It's called No Name brand. And so they just, how often you call something by the brand name, like a Q-tip. We don't call them cotton swabs, we call them Q-tips. Or we don't call Jell-O flavored gelatin, we call it Jell-O. You don't call it a tissue, you ask for a Kleenex. That's just, there's some brands that are synonymous with the item. It's almost like onomatopoeia for physical items. But this No Name brand, they just made everything other brands did, but with no brand on them, or a No Name brand, or a faux brand. Band-Aids, not plasters, exactly. They called it by what it was. So this legitimately, I have that motherfucking tin of cocoa downstairs right now. This is abso-fucking-lutely a thing in Canada. And honestly, yeah, I'm with Darsico. No Name is actually pretty fucking good. It's just deals done with local producers, local companies, take your brand off it, save X amount of money, sell it for a lower price. You can get No Name everything, and it's all neon yellow with black writing, and that's it. Canadian treasure. Abso-fucking-lutely. No Name. This is really ominous. I would love to just see something like that. There's nothing else on the package. It's just a word. It's very minimalist. Okay? We just get it done up here. So yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Black and gold. Oh, okay, so you guys have something similar. Now that's curious to me because I have to wonder if your black and gold is a sort of a spin-off from what happened up here, because that looks that No Name makes everything. Like literally, let's try this. No Name brand Canada. Everything. If we Google that, can I show you guys something? Check this out. Are you guys watching the stream? I have a darkener on. Let me turn that off. Look at their website. And if you can't see, if you're just listening to the radio like a normal person, you're just taking it in. If you go to noname.ca, if you check it out, the website literally just says website. I just want you to know that this is a thing. It is. It's a real thing, Ron. This is an important staple of Canada, and I just want you to know that. Great value. Great value is Walmart, I think. That's yours. We don't fuck with that. It's up here, but it's not our favorite. So there you go. It's the Loblaws group. Shoppers, Loblaws, Superstore, and No Frills. And Superstore and No Frills are basically the same thing. Oh, Canada. And I will say, Naturally Imperfect is one of my favorite things. It is basically local produced fruit and vegetables. Local produced fruit and vegetables that are ugly. And they wrap them in no name yellow. And they're like, here's an ugly piece of fruit. You pay half price. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Downstairs right now, I have an entire fuck off. I could beat a man to death with the thing of fucking field mushrooms that I have. Naturally Imperfect, no name, field mushrooms. Because they're ugly. It's amazing. No name. Stand on guard for thee, man. So yeah, if you're okay with ugly fruit and really bad packaging, President's choice, Canada, no name brand, it's for you. Absolutely. Oh, Canada. All right. So we're having a lot of fun. Tonight is ridiculous. We are having a pre-Canada Day hella pre-party. Now, Gabe is saying, yeah, he's probably not surprised. There are versions of this all over the world. I'm guessing even on the East Coast, I think it's called Max and C. Darsico, Mr. D will be able to tell me. They have another, it's Max and C or something. Across Europe, in Ireland and other places. What was it called? 𝖊𝖊? CIEL, I believe. I'm trying to remember. Yes, 𝖊𝖊, CIEL. So there's a bunch of sort of spin-offs that I think are probably all part of the global group for this. But Canada started it. I need you to know that. Now, with all that being said, before I start the next track here, I wanted to say, one of the things that I love about living in Canada is the nature. Obviously, you guys know it's an important part of my life. I spend a lot of time outside. And earlier today, I shared a photo mashup of a place that I really enjoyed that was kind of part of my mindfulness this morning and thinking a little bit about my place on the planet, as you do. And so this image that I shared on Twitter a little earlier today, because it was more of a thinking tweet, and don't worry, I'm sure I'll follow it up with something absolutely dumb, is from an incredible provincial park here. So I thought, because I got a DM this morning asking if that was in Canada or not, I thought I would share it with you. I probably will put together some actual pictures from this at some point and share them. But for now, I'm just going to tell you where this park is, because it is incredible. It's called 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖆. And those waterfalls are exactly like that. It is an absolutely incredible place to come and see some pretty wild waterfalls, rapids, places to camp, stuff like that. So since we're speaking of Canada, and we're talking a little bit about how incredibly beautiful and diverse Canada is, 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖆 National Park is pretty something else. So here's I'll share some pictures of this particular waterfall that this image is made from. But if you're ever going to make it to Canada, if you make it here from coast to coast, there are some incredible places that you should see. This is a #Canada Appreciation heavy metal radio show, but frankly, all we've done is talk about the weird snot balls in clearly Canadian orbits, how to make a proper Nanaimo bar, and that's about it. So while we're at it, I'll play you guys some more heavy metal. I want to play a track, since we're talking about how Canada had this incredible underbelly of thrash. These bands that in the 80s were literally laying the groundwork for incredible metal and the things that were to come. There is There is a number of these bands, but it is interesting because the one that I'm going to play for you, I'm pretty sure formed in a very similar year. Yeah, 1978. So right at the end of the 70s, early 80s, there were a bunch of these thrash metal bands. Exciter had just formed. I'm going to talk to you about a band called 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖐. This is another Canadian band who were putting together that sound of the new wave of British heavy metal, and were like smashing it together with new thrash, with speed, with more intensity. Incredible stuff. And so these guys, though, just never really hit the mainstream. They never really got big. And nobody really knows why, because in the metal sort of sphere, they're considered really influential and they put out a couple of really great albums, but it just never happened for them. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to play you guys some 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖙. We are going to have a little bit of fun recognizing our Canadian thrash metal roots tonight. So, if you're cool with that, I'm going to play you a track called March of the Crabs, because we all know everybody fucking loves crabs on this show. We've had war crabs, and we have had every form of crab that you can have, because, you know, when you're me and you've got people dropping in from all around the world, there's always a chance that you'll run into some crabs, and this is no exception. So we're gonna put aside war crabs for just a minute. And I'm going to play you something from an album called Metal on Metal. And that came out, again, before I was born. I want to say like 1982 or 1983. And it is a killer instrumental track with all of these sort of elements from new wave of British heavy metal, but the emerging power and speed metal trends that were taking over North America. It is awesome. And it is unfortunate that these guys did not get their day in the sun at that time, because here they are, still fucking touring. And so, one of the craziest things is one of their roadies, ended up, that was like touring with them in England, ended up growing up and became a screenwriter, and decided, well, I think we're gonna write a documentary about you. And so this roadie decided, like, dude, 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖙, the story of 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖙, wanted to make a documentary about this band who just never quite got the attention they deserved. And that was in 2005. And it actually did really well. And all of a sudden, they started seeing an upward spiral in everything going on with them again. It became the highest grossing rock documentary in the UK. And then it went out on VH1, and all of a sudden, 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖙 was popular again. It was wild, and they suddenly started getting gigs that they weren't getting before. So I'm going to play this track, but they are still putting out new albums. They are still touring. They got, there you go, 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖙 are famous. I knew them from VH1. There you go. Because one of their roadies, 20, 30 years later, brought them back into the spotlight. At the time that they were making this music, they weren't getting the recognition that they deserved. It is wild. These guys are out of Toronto, and they literally, in 2022, this year, released their 19th album. Holy fucking shit. I love it. I love it. And they are actually touring and coming through town right now. They're literally on the road right now. So I'm going to play you March of the Crabs. I told you guys, we have thrashers, we have shredders, we have singers, we have growlers. We've got it all up here in Canada. These are the shredders. This track is sick. You should absolutely turn this up. My name is Crimson Clad. Happy hosers! Happy heavy hosers? Can we make that the name of tonight's show? I think so. Let's just do it. That song needs to be like 36 years longer. I'm not going to lie. There you go. So that is the only instrumental track on Metal on Metal. I actually played that one night on Fullforce Radio. You guys might not remember, but a sick album. And again, like, even this cover is amazing. Look at this cover. He's fucking he's got like a big ass fucking, it's like a, I don't know, I guess it's a circular saw, but it's just big fucking cut off saw, and he's just into an anvil. It's amazing. Hell yeah. This album is great. There you go. Track called March of the Crabs. It's not the only instrumental track on our playlist tonight. Maybe. We'll see how much time I have. I'm making a mad dash and hoping that I can fit everything I want to fit in. But I got a lot of tracks tonight that are thrash and speed metal inspired. That doesn't mean we won't have some harder nonsense. Trust me, there are some absolute ragers of Canadian bands here. I don't know where Kitty Girl got this crab eating noodles, but he's just so slow and meticulous and adorable. Crabs are great. My name is Crimson Clad, and one day, I definitely don't know how it happened, but Inertia's daughter drew a picture of me called Crimson Claw, and it was a crab, but crimson, and it may have come from the War Crabs Day. I'm not going to lie, but it's the cutest thing, and I hope somebody can find it in chat, because it's the Crimson Claw. Just a cute little crab, little heavy metal crab, snip-snapping around. Okay, so while we're at it... we can probably play some more music here tonight. And I've got much music that I would love to play for you. Like I said, I'm basically Pinhead, but instead of pins, I have orbits balls all over my face. It's very hot. I'm your favorite Canadian. Hey, Kingski. I don't know that I've seen you in a while. Hi. So, we are playing Canadian metal. We're having a lot of fun. We're talking about our favorite Canadian things. I was bringing up how Crystal Pepsi is making a comeback and people are losing their minds. And I also was bringing up a bunch of things that are getting posted in chat, including No Name Brand. Yes, No Name Brand is a real thing. And yes, it really does look like that. Delightful. Delightful. All right, so while we're kind of having a time and I'm playing a bunch of great Canadian metal for you, I have got lots of stuff to cram in your ears, and I'm trying to decide where to go next. And I thought I was going to wait because I know not all of you are madly in love with the heavy tracks that I play. And by that, I mean, it usually scares you away a little bit. But there is a band that I want to play tonight, and I want to talk a little bit about this because it's absurd, and I want people to have some fun with it. And we'll see how you guys do. There is a band here in Vancouver, and they are absolutely incredible. They are tech death masters. We've talked about technical death metal on this show before, and it's something that I enjoy sort of apart from this show. I don't always play it on the show because it's not always that accessible, but I try and find ways to kind of work it into the musical conversation. However, I find that often my tastes are running heavier and more extreme all the time, and they are starting to really kind of get a cute plant. Oh yeah, thanks. There are so many things. I'm a crazy plant lady. There are a lot of plants in this room. But yeah, this is my studio. Welcome. If you've never been here before, I play you heavy metal and yes, many a plant, hula hoops, I don't know, all sorts of things. There's a fish over there. I can't show you, but he's a nice fish. But I'm going to play you something by this band. And the band that I am talking about is called Archspire. They released an album. I think they're going through like Latin America or Mexico right now. They are on tour. But I want to play you a track from an album called Bleed the Future. And this is their most recent album that they released. And it is absolutely devastating. It will blow your absolute face right off your body. So, if you are not 1,000% here for the heaviest of metal, this might be a good pee break opportunity. But I challenge you to stay and hang out because the lyrics of this track are the most absurd lyrics ever. I want to play you something just totally over the top. This is the opening track from Bleed the Future. And you put it on and you're like, oh, some metal. Whoa! You literally get punched in the face. So let me try and set the tone here for you. Technical death metal is something that you usually end up seeing characterized by really, really fast drums. The fastest blast beats you can imagine, by incredible technical picking that's so fast that you're not always 100% sure if you even love the tonality or the musicality of it, because it's not even really about that. What it's about is how fast and how technical you can. Hey, good to see you, Lucas Game Walker. Well, we're not gaming, we're going to play some technical death metal. But, you know, I like having you here. Canadian technical death metal, nonetheless. So, we're going to do this. I'm going to play it for you, and I'm going to play you a track called Drone Corpse Aviator. Now, often on this show, we're like, oh, that's the most metal title I've ever heard. Whoa, metal. Yeah, Drone Corpse Aviator. And if you're asking yourself, well, gee, that sounds a little bit like maybe someone is going to drive a corpse and fly it up into the air as if it were a drone. And yes, that is 1,000% what this song is about. It's about taking a dead body and flying it up into the sky, off to war, like a drone. It's absurd metal at its finest. It is amazing, and I'm stoked to put it in your ears. So it's a short track. Let's see what you guys think. I think it's a fucking banger. When we come back, we will play a lot more Canadian heavy metal. We'll talk about dumb Canadian stuff. I am going to put a fan on my a new type of pigeon. Well, I don't think that quite covers off what we're talking about here, but this track absolutely slaps. So if you like being, sort of pummeled into subservience by incredibly powerful drums, this track's gonna do it for you. Good old Vancouver boys. Hometown kids from right here where I'm from. My name is Crimson Clad. This is Full Force Radio. Heavy metal, hard rock, and sass. And clear food. And strange desserts. And confusing alcohol. And a lot of hockey. All right, so just to catch you up here, since I probably scared off a couple of you, because I can see some of the watcher numbers were like, oh, okay, well, all right. Taking a chance playing that one early, but man, that track is sick. Yeah, I like. Marco's like, yeah, no, I just muted the bot. That wasn't for you. Fair enough. But so let me explain to you what that delightful track was all about. That track was about, okay, there is a big story arch that kind of follows through a bunch of the songs and this particular album and everything else. But so the idea is that there is a sort of mutated consciousness that lives, that infiltrates the marrow of your bones, a black, evil, slimy entity that enters the very marrow of your bones and takes over your body. And so the story here is that entity decides to get into all of the corpses, lift them up and fly them into the air and basically take over the world. Fuck the humans. And create kamikaze attack drones out of dead bodies. It's very metal. It's very ridiculous. It's all of the best parts of metal in one go. And so, you don't get a whole... You don't always get a feeling for some of the lyrics, but it is amazing. Within our weave, we hold a well of black liquid, and with it we will wake the rotted from their resting fields. And with our path now lit, we can travel to the aftermath of our captor's entrance, through the sirens of the drifted that lay dreaming under the earth. Drone corpse aviator, we shall crawl into the marrow of their corpses, make them fly and navigate them. They will move and yell and fight again, but not from breathing, not alive, but ridden from their burrow. They will return, taking to the air in droves of gliding carrion. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. That sounds like the best horror movie ever. Oh my God. So there you go. You can officially say that you have lived through some of the absolute hardest Canadian technical death metal that is in existence. And if anybody ever needs a nightmare scenario to scare children with, or I don't know, people on the internet at night, there it is. Now, I will say, you may be like, Krim, who would ever do such a thing like that? And I would say, you might have forgotten, but for a while there was 𝖊𝖊𝖆. And 𝖊𝖊𝖆 was the corpse of a cat. And I don't know if you remember this, because this was back in like 2015 or something like that, but I remember reporting on it for another news website that I was writing for at the time. But and here's 𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆, of course. 𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆, I'm so glad you're here. You are definitely going to be super sad. Because I just played a track about reanimating corpses and flying them through the air like a drone. And, I was thinking about this on the way home because I was like, can you imagine a little propeller dick flying a corpse up into the sky? Yeah, probably. But for a while there, this was a legitimate thing. I don't hate you. I'm really glad you're here. I just know that you're not going to want to stay. But you might have forgotten about this because a while ago, when we laugh about drone corpse aviator, but there was a guy, I don't know if you remember this, there was a guy who literally killed his cat. No, he didn't kill his cat. He took his dead cat and he made a drone out of it. And it was a big deal because he gave it a name. His name was 𝖊𝖊𝖆 in life. He gave it the name 𝖊𝖊𝖆 in death. And that was the whole jam, is he would fly his cat drone around. It is literally a taxidermied cat, spread eagle, zooming through the air, attached to a drone, terrorizing the neighbors. And so then, that got people really deciding, okay, well, what can we fucking taxidermy and attach to a drone? And this was a very dark period in human science. We had, there was the ostrich copper, which was literally somebody took a giant drone and stuffed it inside a dead ostrich. Somebody did a shark. Somebody actually taxidermied a dead shark and attached it to one of those rocket planes that you launch out in a field. So there was that. A lot of people did like mice and stuff. Where I'm going with this is that humans are awful and we don't deserve anything. We're horrible. And you know what? The time of reckoning is coming. We have turned enough dead animals into drones that the day that some sort of weird evil consciousness decides to turn us into, to turn our corpses into flying meat bags and, like buzzing cows in a field, we deserved it. You heard about Rocket Shark. Good. There you go. All right. So we played the most ridiculous song on the playlist tonight. So if you're just joining us, if you're like 𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆 or one of the others that are over on one of the alternate streams who immediately pieced out because they were like, wow, this is not what I signed up for. Don't worry. My name is 𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆 and this is Fullforce Radio. And tonight we are having a pre-Canada Day happy heavy hoser kind of party. And I'm playing you nothing but Canadian metal and hard rock and all that nonsense. There are a million things I can play for you tonight. So now that I have put the idea of a drone flying dead body into your ears, we can move on. You feel very Canadian after listening to this for almost 2 hours. So here's the deal, because I've been asking everybody who's hopping in, 𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆𝖆𝖆, did you ever try any such Canadian delicacies like a Nanaimo bar? Apparently they're called a prayer bar in the US. So Canada's growing bugs for people. Well, I don't know, 𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆𝖆. I live in a part of Canada where farmers are really important and we're all very hippy dippy. I still get my meat from an awesome local butcher. My vegetables and my delivery service come from local whatever. I mean, everywhere is going to try and push that shit, but also not all of us will comply. So, soon my cow will be killed and literally, I don't know, a drone will be inserted and it will fucking fly its way to my house. Yeah, I don't know if you haven't been here. It doesn't matter, but I want to know. Have you ever had a Nanaimo bar? Or a True Caesar? Or an Orbitz or a Crystal Pepsi? Because we're talking about all the dumb shit that apparently, it really sums up the Canadian quintessential experience for people. So we've been talking about weird stuff that we like, we don't like, maybe we like, things that kind of made their way to elsewhere in the world. I don't know. So yeah, you just wanted to wish Happy Canada Day. I mean, I don't know. It's just an excuse to drink, and we love to drink. So there you go. We do. We just love quintessexual. You've had a true Caesar. Good man. Good man. So now, we're playing a lot of music. I'm going to try and keep it going. We've heard a lot of like thrash and whatever. So I kind of want to turn the corner for a little bit. Like, knowing that's a huge part of Canadian metal history, I want to play a little bit of everything. So one of the absolute sort of Canadian superstar heroes, oh my fucking God, it's Wes. Wes. One of the Canadian superstar... I didn't even know you were watching. Where were you even watching, Wes? You sneaky motherfucker. Happy almost Canada Day. Bye. You're cool. Haven't seen you in a long time. So here's the deal. You're in Canada when hockey games end up like this. Yeah, I mean, I think the hockey fights here are spirited, but they don't last. Hockey fights are important. They need to happen. You need to learn how to get in a fight. That's a Canadian thing. It's just a little fist fight, a friendly fist fight, arguably even a nice fist fight. It's very Canadian. All right. So I want to play a couple of tracks in a row by some incredible, incredible projects. Now, you guys know, and if you were here, one of the most popular Fullforce episodes of all time was We're Gonna 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝐿 It. I did an entire 6 Degrees of Mutilation episode on 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝐿. He's another hometown boy from here in Vancouver. Literally, he was born in New West. And he has had a huge number of musical pursuits. Yeah, just a little Donnybrook. It's a gentleman. Yes, it is. Exactly. There you go, Normock. It is called a Donnybrook. That is a specific type of like little fist fight. Like a Donnybrook is kind of almost like a cheeky little fist fight. Like, we're not trying to kill each other. We just need to have a little Donnybrook. Somebody's got to pop somebody else, and we've got to get it out of our systems. We have a Donnybrook, we have a beer, we go home, everybody's fine. That's what it is. Why? I don't know. It's just Canadian. But that was absolutely just always the way we've thought about it. Yeah, it's just a couple of teeth. And honestly, I mean, I can certainly think of times in school and stuff like that. I know once or twice kids that, got their tooth knocked out, and somebody would come and they'd get the tooth and they'd throw it in a bag and they'd rush them off to the dentist. I don't know if you can put a tooth back in. I don't know if that's the same as like a fingertip or whatever, where you put it in a bag of milk. I don't fucking know. But it's a Canadian thing. There is an expectation that there will be some, what would you call it? Not personal fight. Just a little rumble now and again out on the field or out in the back of the bar or whatever. It's not personal. It's just solving a problem. And then it's done. All right, so I want to play you something by 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝐿, because 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖛𝐿 is this incredibly far-reaching, quintessentially Canadian motherfucking weirdo. He is weird, and all of his bands have been weird. They've been hard, they've been insane. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's what makes him so, so enjoyable. So he started off strapping young lad, and I've played a number of those tracks for you. He's worked in a number of different collaborations. He's been under his own banner of just 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖛𝐿. He had the 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖆𝖛𝐿 Project. There's so much going on with him. But I want to play something off an album called Transcendence. And this was sort of his peak, big ensemble, progressive metal period. And this album is spectacular. And I was checking on Fullforce Radio over the past 5 years. I have played almost every song off this album because it's so awesome. And a lot of it's very spiritual. It's very sort of take a deep breath and recognize you are not the biggest thing in this world, whether that is spiritually, religiously, physically, environmentally. You're tiny. Take a deep breath and recognize that. Be grateful for what you have. And I always like when that kind of sentiment is in metal. I was at that tour for sure. All right, so I want to play you a track called Failure. Since we've been kind of going in a bunch of circles and we've been playing some really like out of control thrash, we've been talking about dumb food and whatever. It's been a very unserious show so far. And I promise you it will stay unserious. But we'll take a break from, talking about shoving a literal drone motor up a cat's ass and launching him off into the night to listen to some really incredible prog. So here you go. It's the 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝖞 Project. My name is Crimson Cloud. We got about an hour left in the show. We've been talking about all things Canadian and the things that I do love about being Canadian. It's so easy to be negative about the world these days. There's bad in every country and in every culture. And honestly, the world feels like it's mostly bad. But tomorrow, I'm going to sit down with a beer. I'm going to be out and I'm going to put my feet in the river near my house under the shade of incredible trees. I'm going to walk my dog along the valley. I might go for a hike up a mountain. All of the things in nature and the kind people around me in the place that I live. And I'm going to say, okay, Canada, you're not so bad today. All right. We have to accept our failures at some point, right? It's Fullforce Radio. There we go. There's like a bunch of seconds of and we're going to cut that. Hey, my name is Crimson Cloud. And so, yeah, Lacey is saying, I will drink. Mariano did have a level up. Cheers. Yes. That is an incredible meme there. When your playlist goes from 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖛𝖞 straight to Opeth. Agreed. So I love that. I love the gifts you make. I mean, the reality is I give you a lot of useless images and you make fun things out of it. So I appreciate it. But yes, I always look like such a spaz on this show. That's a beautiful track off an awesome album. I highly recommend you check out 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖛𝖞. He is a really genuine, weird, fun human being. And honestly, that old episode, Gonna 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖛 Send It, it was such a popular episode. People still talk about it. We had so much fun. He is a very lighthearted human being, and it really is something when you can go to one of the biggest concert venues in your province and have 𝖍𝖊𝖆𝖆𝖛𝖞 get up before one of the heaviest, most ridiculous bands in existence, holding only an acoustic guitar, sing a quiet acoustic love song to the crowd, rile them all the fuck up, have them form a giant wall of death to Baby Shark, get everybody to smash into each other in the pit, and then talk sort of self-deprecatingly about the fact that he did indeed have the world's worst hair. He went completely bald, but he tried to keep some dreadlocks. He looked disgusting, and he knows it. He's an incredible singer, an out-of-control vocal range. He has done everything from, stuffing the telephone in the green room of fucking, I can't remember if it was Saturday Night Live or it was something. He was on some show, some late night talk show that he went to be on. He was in their green room and he took the telephone. He was completely nude and he shoved it in his ass while talking on camera. He was briefly touring with 𝖍𝖊𝖆 and took a shit in 𝖍𝖊𝖆's guitar case. He has had a very long and interesting and incredibly varied life. And I have to say, he's a Canadian crazy diamond, and I hope he continues to shine on. So welcome to Fullforce Radio. We are having we're having a happy heavy hoser day here. Tomorrow's Canada Day, and I am enjoying. Well, he tried. Yes, you're right. I don't 100% know how well it worked, but we don't judge. It's just like everything's a personal pizza if you try hard enough. Yeah, everything's a dildo if you try hard enough. So Lacey's saying that I've turned her on to well-timed key changes. That is one of my favorite things in music, and it is hard to do. And you will find a lot of bands who'll just be like, yeah, let's just throw either a key change or a time change into the music because that'll be so cool. It'll be really technical. And often it doesn't work at all. You confuse the fuck out of everyone. It's very jarring. You wreck the tone of the music. But especially now in prog and some of these really insane sort of melodic progressive metal bands, you will find really interesting time signatures used really effectively. And in a lot of cases, going from a really fast time signature and breaking, sort of roughly in the middle of the song and shaking people into some new rhythm is really, really effective. And that's more than one track that it's happened tonight, and it's fucking good. So, go team. All right. So we've been talking about Canadian stuff. I've been sharing things like orbits with you guys. And we've been talking about sort of some quintessentially Canadian things, whether that be food, whether that be the experiences of being a Canadian kid growing up, whatever. And I've been sharing with you a ton of different metal bands, and a lot of the older metal bands are thrash bands and whatnot. So I'm trying to keep things moving, and I'm trying to keep things interesting. We'll see how well I actually do. Now, I know, because of course here in Canada, we are on July 1st. I know coming up is, what do you call it in the States? Is it Independence Day? What's America Day? It's July 4th. So in a couple of days after we've gotten it out of our system, it's time for all the Americans to do it. What do you guys do? Because of course, just like you guys have kind of a very light idea of what Canada's, Canada Day looks like, we have a very superficial idea of what the US's, Independence Day look like. For me, you guys bake pie, you barbecue an absurd amount of unhealthy food, and you let off a lot of fireworks. Does that sound correct? Cheers, Mariano. Is that Independence Day in a nutshell? Is there anything else that you do on Independence Day? I'm curious to know. So you guys tell me about what you do. I'm seeing hot dogs, Speedos, fireworks, Bud Light. Yep, good. I'm forming a good picture here. I mean, we truly don't know. In fact, what we normally think of up here in Canada, no word of a lie. No word of a lie. What I think about when I think about American holidays is that you guys have a lot of deep frying injuries. I'm sorry. Maybe this is very racist of me. But what I think of when I think of 4th of July, Thanksgiving, everything else is I think of a lot of people having horrible, horrible deep frying accidents. Like Thanksgiving, you don't thaw the turkey. You just put the frozen turkey directly into a thing of boiling oil, and then there's a massive explosion. People light their houses on fire. Like, that's the kind of thing that I think about when I think about Independence Day. Is it really a big America appropriate celebration if people did not risk their lives for the delicious murder food that they are about to consume? I have questions. So many questions. Yeah, I don't know. So let me know. Oh, barbecue. And you've never been to a block party. Oh, it sounds like you had a time. Very nice. As long as you're partying. I'm not judging. I've shared with you some of the most absurd Canadian bullshit tonight. And some of the most precious Canadian bullshit. So trust, I have shown my own weaknesses to you before asking you about yours. Yeah, exactly, Patient Zero. I don't know. I feel like all American holidays have the 80% chance of someone at any event being involved in some form of explosion. Fireworks, deep frying, that basically covers off the whole thing, right? This is bad. I'm going to start talking before I upset and harm all of the Americans in the audience. I just want to learn a little bit more about you. Tell me of your culture. Sing me the song of your people. That's what I'm doing with you guys tonight. So, if you guys are cool, I am going to play another track called Soulbound. There is a band called 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖆𝖘. They are unbelievably popular here in Vancouver because they are, of course, hometown kids. Lots of bands out of Vancouver, lots of bands out of Toronto. They are fantastic. And for a lot of the people that normally come to this show, we've gotten together here and we've listened to this band live. They are a lot of fun. I want to play you a track called Soulbound from 𝖊𝖕𝖎𝖆𝖘. Maybe we'll be able to rustle Corbin and the rest of the Calgarians out of the woodwork. But my name is Crimson Clad, and we have got an hour left in the show. We're coming into the home stretch. I've got lots of great music to play for you. I'm talking about quintessentially Canadian things because tomorrow I'm going to drink a beer and enjoy nature. I'm going to eat some good food, and I'm probably going to get absolutely wrecked. And I'm looking forward to it. Oh, Lordy. So for tonight, you are all honorary Canadians. So saith I on Fullforce Radio. I almost switched to the wrong screen there. Hey, welcome. My name is Crimson Clad, and we are playing super fun Canadian metal here on Fullforce Radio tonight in honor of the fact that tomorrow is Canada Day. Yeah, I know you're not here, but you were. No. All right. But there you go. Ever since you stopped streaming to YouTube, you always miss my shows. I know, I'm sorry. And you're not the only person to say that. And I mean, I've mentioned it a couple times, and I know it's frustrating for people, and I'm sorry. And you know, like, I always try to catch you on, like, Vim, to be quite honest. I try to catch everyone I can on Vim. But the reality is we're so used to YouTube, and there are some things about YouTube that are really great. But YouTube fucking hates me. And YouTube will not let me edit live streams. They make me pull down all my shit. They wipe history of views. They wipe conversations. It's really frustrating. And so in the last little bit, since I have started doing this thing where I record the shows in high def and I upload them after the fact, it's a huge, huge difference. Like, rather than seeing 10 views and then having the, video pulled down, I'm looking at Fullforce Radio episodes and I'm seeing 150 views, 100 views. Like, every week, the numbers are now topping out. And part of that is because people know, okay, well, I can go watch a show later on. Part of that is because they're not being completely, like, destroyed by YouTube. I'm not being constantly threatened by YouTube. I know it really sucks. And I mean, honestly, I really will have to start looking for a video editor. This is going to be one of the things that's going to have to happen is, once or twice a month, we're going to have to put together, like, some highlight reels, or we're going to have to do, like, I don't know. To keep it going, there will have to be more, I have an idea. Since YouTube sucks, live stream on YouTube, but just put a static screen that says I'm streaming now elsewhere, link in description. That's not a bad idea. I think YouTube would probably come for me for that. But that might be something that I take a look at, because I do know that their notification system is really good too, right? And that's part of it. So, I mean, the reality is, a couple hundred views per video is not a lot. But when it is a live radio show and that's ticking up in a day or two every time after it's been posted, that's actually pretty amazing. And so at least now I know I'm getting more accurate numbers, and YouTube isn't kind of fucking with people. They come to the video, they watch a video, they listen to the music, they have a good time. Done deal. They're allowed to do that. And before, when I was streaming directly to YouTube, they weren't. So, I mean, it sucks, but I would wish and I would hope and I would dream that someday we're going to be using all of these decentralized solutions and they're going to solve all these problems. And to some degree, they do. I don't want to cut people that like YouTube out. And I know for you, that is like, hey, a reminder of what's going on. Which is, I wish you were here earlier, because I would love to hear your opinion on ridiculous food. Yeah. Happy Canada Day. Even if you're not Canadian, you're Canadian with me here tonight. We have run the gamut of topics, from dead bodies flying through the air like a drone, piloted by mutated goo tar beings from space. We've talked a little bit about popular Canadian foods. We've talked about the best Canadian drinks. We've talked a little bit about just being Canadian and living here in nature and all that. And we've punctuated it with a lot of good fun music too. So, what else is happening in Canada, where I am, over the next couple days? One of the things that has been happening a lot, and I mentioned it earlier with 𝖊𝖕𝖐 and Exciter, and obviously with everybody, is that Canada cannot get its shit together in its airports. Now, going to the airport at the best of times is horrible. I don't know if you guys are travelers. If you're not, you're fucking smart. The airport is stupid. Now, I live in Vancouver, and the Vancouver airport is considered one of the nicest in the world. It's considered one of the best in the world. But whatever fucking happened with COVID, our airports are a shit show. If you take a bag, they're going to lose your bag. If you get off the plane, you're going to be waiting 4.5 hours before they even let you look for your luggage, let alone everything else. Flights are getting canceled left, right, and center. And I'm starting to think about this because this year I will be doing a lot of traveling for conferences. I will be doing a lot of traveling around to see you guys. Fat Piggy saying, I don't know anything about Canadian food beyond Canadian bacon and syrup. You know what? That's about all you need to know from Canada. Now, Canadian bacon, I will admit, is stupid. It's stupid. We shouldn't call it Canadian bacon. It is a nice piece of ham. Bacon is bacon. Canadian bacon is a round piece of ham. But I'll tell you what. If you've never truly had a piece of Canadian bacon, one of the things you need to have it on is a piece of Eggs Benedict because it is perfectly round. Any kind of little breakfast sandwich or round food, Canadian bacon was made for that. It's fucking fantastic. Perfect meat to meat delivery vehicle coverage. Maybe it's just meat and an egg. Perfect shapes. There's just a bunch of weird geometric, I don't know what synergy there. It's the only good thing about Canadian bacon. Oh, Lord. But, yeah, so, I mean, where I'm going with this is basically, I expect that things are going to get really fucky. And one of my coping mechanisms that I have learned in being a traveler in Canada and doing the coast-to-coast bounce a lot every year, because I often fly back and forth multiple times from Montreal to Vancouver, Vancouver to Montreal. I have learned to pack for any climate, any weather, any length of time in one backpack. Never check a bag. Never. But for some of these events, I'm going to have to. And I'm just, the CBC logo made of Canadian bacon. I mean, oops, did I ruin it? Sorry. For those who know, Whoops. All right, well, anyways. So that for me is the thing. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Pig saying that the Denver airport is supposed to be some secret child sacrifice temple. Yeah, aren't they the ones they have like a statue of a horse outside with glowing red eyes and all the murals have like weird, creepy symbolism in them. And there's like strange tiles and like mysteries and secret passages and stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to think about that stuff. I don't want to think about every time taking off in a plane, I'm contributing to like some sort of evil juju ley lines being drawn over the planet. It's a lot to carry with you. But with all that being said, it is coming into a really busy summer and potentially a busy fall too. And I'll be visiting some of you guys in the US and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully well. If one of you guys axe murders me, I'm going to be very vexed. I'm going to be really annoyed if one of you tries to axe murder me. It's going to be a whole thing. Don't do it. Okay? Just want to get your promise here now. All right. So there are a lot of bands that I could fit into tonight's playlist, and I'm going to try my best to just cram them all in the way that I normally do. But one of the bands that I bring up almost every week, and I try to always bring up, is a band that, of course, David Gold is no longer with us. Woods of Ypres is not making any more music, but the music that they did make, he made absolutely fantastic. And so I was looking, and a lot of the tracks that I played for you are off of the last album, Woods 5. And so I thought, okay, let's go back a little bit further and let's try and grab you guys some great music. It is awesome, slightly depressing, really delightful stuff. Ron, I tried it. I think you have to do it directly from Twitch, I think. I don't know. The sticker thing I turned on because I keep saying I'm going to fix the I'm going to fix the whole affiliate thing and whatnot. Oh, I didn't do it right. Let me try it over here. Stickers. There you go. The stream extension can be found by either hovering over the live view and looking for the heart icon on the right-hand side or beneath the live view within a panel. You came here for the Christian rock. I will I will do it. I just haven't yet. But a lot of the stuff tonight could probably kind of fall on the straddling side of things. Yeah, it only works on Twitch. There you go. So, Krim, have you tried out that Lightning to Hive network thing? Yeah, it is. It's great. I do use the Lightning network. You have to remember, though, that a lot of these channels, we won't do too much crypto, I promise, but you do have to remember that a lot of these channels specifically are not centralized, but they are controlled by someone who is sort of keeping an eye on that channel. You have to be very careful. The Lightning Network is built here on top of the Bitcoin network, and it is not quite the same as it's not quite the same as being able to transact peer-to-peer. I know, Normok, but I'm saying that I think that really is a great idea. And one of the things that I know that people really loved, these older shows, speaking about 1 year ago, the Van Damme show, people love themed shows. They love when I go and do all the nitty-gritty research for them. They love when I go out and I find all the facts and I string together a bunch of songs and tell you all about it and make a bunch of jokes and look like an idiot when I get something wrong. You know, that's the jam. And I haven't done a truly themed show in a while. So, I mean, that is one of those that's sticking in the background. I'm not saying I've put it off, but I know that is going to be one that I definitely do struggle with a little bit. There's no doubt. I know that will happen just because it's so far from my regular base of knowledge. That being said, I know for a fact that some of the bands that I've listened to are probably Christian bands and have just never made it really fucking out there. And I know we joke about this every time, but I'm kind of expecting that some of these like extreme, heavy, brutal bands will be like, psych! And it's going to be like an ICP thing where one day they're like, yeah, man, fucking magnets, how do they work? And a rainbow will cross the screen and they'll be like, ask Jesus! Boom! And we'll all be just standing there wondering what the fuck happened. I don't know. It's coming, I'm sure. All right, so what I want to do is I want to play this 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖆 song. It's off Woods 4, and I want to play a track called Don't Open the Wounds. So, you know, if you've got somebody or you're not feeling awesome, but you're doing your best to heal, sometimes the best thing you could do is just leave it alone. Don't open the wounds. Don't torture yourself. Don't torture someone else. Heal and move on. You will be so fucking powerful if you do that. For real. All right, let's do it. So, 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖆, my name is Crimson Clad. Crim hates Christians. Oh, there you are, you know, believe in Ron again. I don't hate anyone for their religion. And I do also hate everyone because, you know what? People are stupid and I like dogs better than people. But I also inherently believe that people are good. And provided you don't show me you're bad, I will give you the best of myself without any question, without any reservation. Just don't fuck it up, okay? Listen to the music. Be happy. Be depressed. I don't know. Yeah, it's an incredible track. Oh, let's switch back over. So there you go. A track called Don't Open the Wounds. And, you know, I play 𝖊𝖕𝖆𝖆 a lot on this show because hugely influential sort of death, black metal kind of shit. But it's like... It's really unfortunate because, you know, you often hear about some of these incredible artists and, you know, you always think, well, these are tortured artists. They can't come up with this stuff without being deeply unhappy or, you know, tragically flawed or whatever. And, you know, I'm sure David Gold was, but he ended up actually passing away from a car accident. It was one of those things that was completely unexpected. And a lot of the work that he was doing in bringing a lot of Canadian musicians who were interested in making death metal or black metal or, you know, nature inspired or emotional inspired music, you know, at a time where bands were trying to become harder and darker and meaner and more evil and more brutal. Like, he was writing these incredible songs about, you know, living in a cold city in the winter and craving human touch or, you know, going out and traveling by yourself and what a pain in the ass it is to go through customs or how ridiculous it is that we worship celebrity culture. He was writing these really raw, really beautiful songs that, you know, really resonated with a lot of people on a lot of different subjects. And it's one of those things where you're so used to these people who pass away young or leave behind projects that feel very unfulfilled because they were doing drugs or because they were making bad choices or whatever, burning brightly and fading away. And so every time that it happens with something, you know, as terrible as sort of this strange, you know, collision of lives, yeah, he was thinking, Yeah, he was thinking of, there was rumors that he was going to go to Kuwait. They were going to start working, that maybe the band would taper off naturally. And then boom, out of the universe, you step off the side of the road and hit by a car and you're gone. So listen, we joke about a lot on this show because there's always, a metal track about having your dead corpse animated by, mutant black tar in the marrow of your bones, flying you off into the sky like a naked, majestic meat sack copter. But all joking aside, and all terrible metal band names like Infant Annihilator and, Septic Flesh and all that bullshit, live the best life you got because you have no control over it. And I don't say that to make you depressed. I say it to remind you that, what a fucking gift that you're here, man. And I just want to remind you that you chose to use your gift tonight to hang out with Crimson Clad on a Canada Day pre-party. So either, yikes, reevaluate that gift, or thank you. Thank you for sharing your gift with me. I like you. I think you're cool. I will play you good music. And if you don't think it's good, I will play you music. It is how I send you my love. So, one of the things that makes me laugh really hard, and I won't necessarily play this tonight, but, everybody knows about Dark Throne that knows metal. Now, if you don't know metal, you probably don't know Dark Throne, and you won't care. But Dark Throne is an extreme metal band, and they were formed in, the mid-'80s, and they were making, like black metal, and they kind of just took it and ran with it, and they became synonymous with everything that happened in black metal and death metal, and they were sort of the glorious beginnings of the scariest, hardest, most out-of-control stuff that was going on. Corpse paint and debauchery and all the rest. They were a really, really important part of the Norwegian black metal scene. And, we always talk about bands like Bathory and Celtic Frost and all this stuff that was happening. Well, they made a couple of albums, and the first one, that really was really important was A Blaze in the Northern Sky. And that arguably is one of the most influential metal albums of all time. Now, the reason I bring this up is because as time's gone on, obviously the musicians are still around, and Fenriz was the vocalist for Dark Throne, and he is one of the most delightful metalheads on earth. He is kind of a hilarious trope. He's been in one of the darkest, scariest, most influential, horrible metal bands that have ever existed. And at the same time, he's a nice guy that's known for wishing people happy Friday, calling them to politely check on them to see how they're doing. He likes to encourage other people to have a nice day. He loves his cat. He's generally just a really cute little dude. And so I bring this up not because he's Norwegian, but I bring this up because he actually ended up sometime in the mid-'90s writing a song called Canadian Metal. And specifically, he wrote this track because of his great love for what was happening, in the 90s with what was happening in Canada. And so Canadian Metal is, it's a tribute to a bunch of the great bands of the past from Canada, Slaughter and Voivod. And so I wanted to bring this up because everybody makes jokes on this show about, well-known Canadian artists. And I was looking through stuff. I won't play this track for you tonight, but I'm going to include it in the playlist for later. The thing that really cracked me up is in an interview, somebody asked and said, hey, why did you write this song? Why do you give a shit about Canadian metal being from Norway? And the answer that he gave in this interview was, Canada bridged what was happening in USA, the thrash style, with the European thrash style. So many of their bands sound kind of timeless, but that's just a few, Slaughter and Voivod. My song, Canadian Metal, is not Canadian metal, but the lyrics hail various bands and songs like Piledriver, Oblivion, Sacrifice, Celine Dion. And I think there's something so fucking delightful that one of Norway's most absolute nefarious and notorious black metal musician wrote a black metal song that's loving on Canada and that makes a gentle reference to the national treasure / national embarrassment that is Céline Dion. And if you're wondering what that sound is, I don't love Céline Dion. In fact, I do. I find her kind of embarrassing. But the woman can sing. She is a class act. And if you've ever watched Céline Dion perform, which if you are a Canadian, trust me, sometime, somewhere, you have been forced to sit through Céline motherfucking Dion. If you watch her, she does this weird thing where she makes a fist and she hits her chest twice in rapid succession. I don't know why. I don't know if she's trying to restart the dusty old heart rattling around in her bony chest, or if she is giving you a little bit of a French-Canadian emphasis. But it's weird. And once you see it, you will never fucking unsee it. Darsico is laughing because he knows I'm right. And for the rest of you, fuck you. Now you're thinking about Céline Dion. Boom! My work here is done. Canada! I'm sorry. I don't know. But people love to drop the, metal logo Céline Dion patch in chat. People love to bring that up all the time, and it's kind of hilarious. But, yeah, good old Céline, eh? She has got that very twangy French accent. I don't have it very good. Sometimes I end up sounding more Russian. See, I don't got it. But she has this way of speaking. There's a cadence, and I don't know if it's just because she's so fucking old or what. I don't know. Oh, Céline. Oh, Céline. So I put Canadian Metal by Darkthrone. I put it at the end of tonight's playlist. It's there if you want to listen to it. It's absolutely brutal. And it cracks me up because it's this little Easter egg from the metal that shaped the entire motherfucking world. And here it is, just a little love note to what was happening in Canada. Just a little dropping a tiny kiss. Oh, Céline. Let me see. Can we find it? Because everybody's trying to aggravate each other in chat right now, which usually means I'm not doing a good enough job of entertaining you guys. So can we say Céline Dion hits chest? Will that come up as an animated GIF? No. I'll go looking for it. It's what she does. It's just a thing that she does. It's fucking weird. I don't know. We'll see. There you go. I love that. Ironic logos are ironic. Okay. So, with the amount of time that we have left in tonight's playlist, which is, honestly, it's not very much. Guys, it's not very much. We have to make sure that we get this shit done. So, I have a lot of tracks that I want to play for you tonight. I'm going to try and get them all in. I wanted to play something by Cataclysm, which is one of the hardest and most brutal of Quebec bands out there. Absolutely amazing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to a track by Cobra and the Lotus, who are another band out of Alberta. Female fronted. She has got some great pipes on her. So if we're talking about babes who can sing, this is one of those bands. I'm going to play something off an album called Prevail 1. I have got 3 Inches of Blood, Skullfist, Razor, Sacrifice. It's a sick album over here, for real. I'm going to keep all this on the playlist whether we play it or not. My name is Crimson Clad. Can you guess where we're going to end up tonight? I'm sure you can, but if you have a guess, throw it in chat. Let's do this. Let's play some Hell on Earth. That is me listening to Céline Dion. All right. I'm a big fan of Cobra and the Lotus. They are a lot of fun. They do great music, but that particular album, especially Prevail 1, is like a space-themed album. And there were so many tracks that I wanted to play for you because they're all really awesome. I always love metal about space. And a bunch of the tracks like Trigger Pulse is about kind of rocketing out into the atmosphere and turning yourself into a ball of energy and just immolating the things around you. And, you know, they talk a little bit about some of the theory of how we get ourselves moving fast enough to go long distances, basically slingshotting yourself in the relative gravity of a planet and using the orbit to kind of give you a bit of a leg up in space flight. I love shit like that. Space metal. Sorry. I hit my headphones again. What else is new? So, knowing that we have a limited amount of time left in the show. Also, you guys, I'm an idiot. I realize why the stickers don't work. I haven't activated them. And here's the thing. I don't actually believe that I can do it while I'm live on stream. But so it turns out what the stickers are is you will be able to like literally slap stickers on my face. Something like this. And apparently they come with sound effects as well. So there you go. There's never one sticker here. It's just one of the many that you can do. So I promise after the show today, I will look into properly getting affiliate set up and the stickers set up. Maybe some will work. Maybe some will not. I don't know. You know? Fucking stupid. But they just show up wherever they want to. So give me a minute. I just can't do it while the show is live. But every week, I will attempt to get a little bit better. You just have to put up with the fact that I'm a mediocre DJ at the best of times. All right. So, it's weird. I saw Kitty Girl typing and then she stopped. While we are here and while we're at it, we're having a time. I am going to continue on. So I was thinking of playing some 3 Inches of Blood because this was a band out of Vancouver and they were making some really awesome power-inspired metal. Bands like Judas Priest, bands like Iron Maiden, bands that really kind of shaped the direction of where power and epic metal was going to go, where the hints of speed metal were going to go. 3 Inches of Blood, they disbanded, I want to say in 2015. Can you steal me for 5 minutes after the show? Of course you can. Is it going to be in my benefit? Question mark? It's probably because I've made the clown mad or I've done something wrong. So if I don't come back after this meeting, you'll know what happened. But I've played a couple of tracks off of a number of their albums for you before. I've played Metal Woman, which was a classic, one of the nights where we did a femme fatale show. And actually, same thing with Advance and Vanquish was an album. If you were here for the night where we were talking a little bit about some of the, Oh, kitty girl, I'm so sorry. You know, one of the things that's so horrible, and I'm going to try and say this without making you feel worse and without making myself bawl, is that animals, when they're ready to leave us, they are so different than people. They simply choose a time and a place and they make peace with it and they go. And it is heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching for us. It's horrible. But I think I've said this before, and it's a horrible thing to say, but would that we as humans could go so peacefully. But it's so horrible. Like, I think about, I'm in a large group for other rescue dog adopters, and it's a very similar thing. Like, one of my girlfriends last week, her dog went out to the backyard and he dug himself a little nest, and it was in the corner of their yard, kind of behind their furniture. He just found a spot right out of the way, and he laid down and he rested his head on his paws and he passed away. He didn't want to cause her trouble. He didn't want to make a big show of it. He just, did everything normal, had a great morning, had a good breakfast, and went out his own way. And I truly hope that, regardless of what happens, that you are able to get to him. But I'm sorry, that's tough. It is tough. I think it would be amazing if people had sort of some of the same peaceful energies and being a little bit more in tune with our time to leave. We are not so good at embracing that, but I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry we can't help you here. And I'm sorry that no matter what I play now, it's going to seem really gauche, especially after we joked about some of the drones and stuff. I'm really sorry. That fucking sucks. Our hearts go out to you. Please do not take any songs that I play from here on out personally. I know you won't, but I'm going to feel a little about it. Dark Messenger. Thank God it's not as terrible as some of the other choices that we could play tonight. No, you know what I mean though. Like, if I had one on this playlist that was a good sort of let it go out into the world, But I can actually recommend a song for you. And it's one of those things that's about acknowledging grief and working through grief and feeling at peace and also accepting sadness. I'm going to link it for you right now because it's a really incredible song. It's by a band called 𝖊𝖙𝖆𝖏, who is arguably one of the best melodic songwriters of all time. And later, when you get a chance, please listen to this track. It's called Portals of Light. It's beautiful. And it's a really great track for when you are feeling some grief. Okay, so that aside, I guess we'll play some 3 Inches of Blood. A band out of Vancouver, they were making crazy good music. They ended up breaking up because they just got a little bored of what they were doing, and a bunch of the members ended up going on to being in bands in the States and around the world. They're still all active, but this band was something hella fun. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play a track called Dark Messenger off an album called Long Live Heavy Metal. Yes, that is a great song too, kitty girl. The last album that they made under the banner of 3 Inches of Blood. And we will go from here. We will go forward. And can you guess what the last band is going to be? You guys all know who it is. You do. You do. Yeah, man. Hacking Canadian metal. Hell! Good stuff happening all around Canada. There you go. A band called 3 Inches of Blood. Hugely popular, obviously, here in Vancouver. Kudos from around the world for what they were doing. They were taking sort of that really classic sound, but making it meaner, hella mean. And unfortunately, the band just kind of petered out. But in the time that they were together, they made some awesome music. Really cool shit. But yeah, that is a really terrifying song. Great, like, evil lyrics for sure. Just reminding you that, hey, you know what? Sometimes when evil is coming, you don't have a chance. So pray and hope for the best. There's nothing you can do to stop this deadly force, a host of demons that will show you no remorse. The phantom's gaze will drive you mad, or so it's told, with no reason other than to terrorize your soul. Tremble and despair because there's no way you'll be safe. Scorched by the hellfire, only ashes fill your grave. Yeah. Heck. All right, so we're having a time. We are playing a little bit of Canadian heavy metal. We are sending love to the kitty girl, and we're all just kind of hanging out here for the last, 8 minutes or so of the show. Here's the deal. I have more music to play, but with only 8 minutes left, that means I want to play a Rush song for you. Rush is one of those bands that may not have been heavy metal, but very, very heavily was, influencing the Canadian progressive, Canadian rock, Canadian alternative, and yes, Canadian metal landscape. There are so many songs that I could play for you. And, thinking off the top of my head, some of the sort of heavier Rush tracks, Driven, Working Man is even actually pretty heavy. Knowing the time that was written, Working Man was actually, it had a lot of oomph to it. Cygnus was a great song. Headlong Flight. I don't have enough time to play Headlong Flight. That's a great track too. So if there's a song, I will quickly see if anybody makes any Rush requests. But if not, I think I will probably play Working Man because that's a classic. And, people kind of forget that this album came out in 1974. And so this was a time period where a lot of the bands that were considered the forefathers of heavy metal were just starting to really put music out there. Now, Working Man is also 7 minutes long. So I'm going to put it on. All of you guys know this track. All of you are either in crypto or trying to get out of, the rat race, or you are moving off the grid, or you are trying to work for a company or a place that gets you, that understands you, that supports you, whatever. But Working Man is one of those songs that everybody truly feels down in their guts. It's off Rush's album Rush from 1974. Man, oh man. So let's do it. I won't have time to come back and say goodbye live on air on the radio, but for all of you watching on the stream, I will. So Figure it out. Turn on a bit of Rush. Happy heavy day, hosers. And that is how you fucking end a rock and roll song, ladies and gentlemen. All right, there's so much that I wanted to play tonight, and we got talking about orbits and Crystal Pepsi and Nanaimo bars and Caesars and driving around corpses as drones and talking about all the beauty of Canada and the world beyond. I hope you had a little bit of fun tonight. You know, we probably could have turned this into a crazy, crazy Canadian party. I will 1000% be, keeping this playlist and all the songs that didn't make it on it tonight. So we had some Ancients, we had Cataclysm, we had Skullfist, Razor, Sacrifice, and a Dark Throne track. So if you're interested in some more happy, heavy hosering, have at it. I will release this and the show notes. And of course, tomorrow. Yes, exactly. And Kingston, dude, I freaking love your maple leaf with the deal with its sunglasses. That's amazing. I have my sunglasses here, but because I'm inside, they're still clear. But if we had the UV index, I could put these on and be like, deal with it. But yeah, you know, we had to do it. And you know what? There's so many other great Canadian bands. I was just thinking of like Diamonds, and there are so many bands I could have played for you tonight. There's an incredible amount of talent in Canada. I, for one, you know, with all the fuck ups that we have and everything that's going on in the world, I still love being Canadian. And I love all of you wherever you may be from. So tomorrow, have a beer in our honor. Take care of yourself over this next week. And of course, please come back, because next week we will go back into a properly themed episode, because next week will be the 1-year anniversary of my rescue dog being with us. Hi, Nahu, you made it just for the end of the show. 1-year anniversary of Lulu being with me. So I am going to make a crazy heavy metal dog show. I have some wild plans for sure. I'm stoked. It's going to be great. If you want to find out how to show up for Full Force Radio, you got a couple different options. You can go to fullforce.rocks. There is a countdown there for the show every week, so you can find out when the next show is live in your time zone. You can, ask us. You can subscribe or follow or do the thing wherever you are right now, whether that's Twitch or Theta or Vim TV or Trovo. You can go the day after the show. If you go to YouTube tomorrow, I will have uploaded the video from tonight, the replay. You can catch a show whenever is most convenient for you. All of those places will fire you off notifications. And if you really want, you can go to mspwaves.com. That's the radio station / social broadcasting network that is Hive powered, that started this whole magical thing. You can come into the Discord. You can get some notifications there. Whatever floats your boat, hoser. So, Canada Day party is officially over for this year, but I expect to see you back next week. The next time I'll be live will be on Saturday with Cyberbuzz Radio, Tech Talk, Blockchain, and Synthwave. My name is Crimson Clad, and I'm done. Bye, friends. Go listen to more Rush. So saith I.